to pump whatever kind of bilge the traffic will bear down that channel. I resent that, whether it contains sex or contains references to values that are insincere, or just the reason why the songs were made. These are not songs that mean something to somebody. These are pieces of product. We're not talking about defending art here.
First of all, Charlie, I'd like to say that I really feel that Mr. Zappa is making mockery of a very serious issue. And I think that as an artist, he has a serious responsibility, as does Prince, as has Madonna, as has Motley Crue, as has Wasp, to protect the children of this country. I really feel that if the rock musicians can get together to write an uplifting song such as We Are the World, to raise millions of dollars for kids in Africa who are starving, that they also can protect the children of this country from hearing songs that endorse and glorify violent sex or pornography.
How do you want them to protect the children of this country?
I feel that it should be a voluntary thing on the part of the entire music industry. No different from the movie industry in terms of a rating system. That they can, the music industry has already agreed to do this. One thing they're going to do is label albums, so that there is consumer information on the album, so that a parent or a child knows what they are bringing home, what they are buying, and what they're going to be listening to. And there has to be cooperation from the parents, from the radio broadcasters themselves, and from the music store that sells these records. But there has to be voluntary compliance, just as there is with theaters and the movie industry.
So you don't want to see the record industry or the government say these kinds of lyrics cannot be recorded and cannot be sold in record stores?
Nobody's talking about censorship or banning anything.
Then what are we talking about? We're talking simply about a rating system?
We're talking about consumer information. It's a consumer. If cigarettes can be labeled, if movies can be rated, if food can be labeled, why can't a record that contains pornographic lyrics or lyrics that have to do with the occult, with teaching satanic rituals, or drug and alcohol?
I want to get some people involved in the audience. Do you have any problems with the labeling?
I was probably the first person to comply. In fact, I invented the labeling. These are some of the albums released by my company, okay? These albums contain, this one contains material which is very, very beyond Prince in terms of graphic sex. This contains something that would probably drive some of those creatures on the hill crazy. It has a whole song with backwards lyrics on it. There's no telling what it says until you play it backwards. On these albums, I place a warning guarantee sticker, and it says, "This album contains material which a truly free society would neither fear nor suppress. In some socially retarded areas, religious fanatics and ultra-conservative political organizations violate your First Amendment rights by attempting to censor rock and roll albums. We feel that this is unconstitutional and un-American."
Okay, but she hasn't said she wants to censor. She says she just wants to
label. Wait a minute. I'm reading my warning guarantee. This is the consumer information I put on my product. Let me finish what I'm saying. As an alternative to these government-supported programs designed to keep you docile and ignorant, Barking Pumpkin is pleased to provide stimulating digital audio entertainment for those of you who have outgrown the ordinary. The language and concepts contained herein are guaranteed not to cause eternal torment in the place where the guy with the horns and the pointed stick conducts his business.
Is the difference you'd make between the lyrics on a record and passages in a book simply that one is more, as Mr. Zappa said, kids aren't reading books, they're only listening to music? Is that the reason that the target is rock lyrics rather than pornography in books and magazines and other places?
Children do not read pornographic books. Children do listen to music, and music has a very dramatic effect. And pornographic music that is backed up by extremely graphic sound effects, such as bedroom effects and heavy panting and moaning and seriously graphic words, have a much stronger effect on children than you don't even see it in a pornographic movie.
Back in a moment. Frank Zappa, Candy Stroud. Stay with us. And comments from our audience, yes.
Yes, as a parent, I would like to ask Mr. Zappa if he would like to just leave his children go and pick out whatever they wanted. I don't listen to the albums myself, and when my children were teenagers, they would go in a store and bring home albums, and they made their own money, and they listened to whatever they wanted to, but I don't think many parents realize what is in the albums, and they don't realize what the children are seeing on TV and what the words are unless they go and read the album covers or go into the record stores.
Okay,
and
first of all, let me tell you, I have 4 children. They range in age from about 7 to almost 18, okay? And they all know about sex. They even make books for little children that show, you know, in childlike form how sex works. So sex is not a mystery. I don't care what they listen to, because if it's sex that you're worried about, they should understand that it's a biological function and not something to be used as a tool to keep them subjugated and make them docile by having somebody say, sex is bad and I'll save you from sex because sex is sin.
Okay, but let me jump in then. Suppose somebody stimulated by a book or a magazine or lyrics from an album, a record album, or anything else, because of that, because of some value system that they create from that, does some violence to your daughter. Mm-hmm. Does it change your attitude at all?
I think that the people who are the most at risk from having a value system create monsters that do violence to other people. The way I see it,
some of the lyrics talk about violence to other people, Frank, you know that.
I know that. But here's the thing about crimes and the way they're committed. Most of the violent crimes in the United States are committed by Christians. If you don't commit the crime, if you're not a Christian, when you commit the crime, when you go to prison, if you tell them you're born again, you get out sooner so you can commit another crime. That's a worry, okay?
Mr. Zappa, as a born-again Christian, I'm glad that you're very unorthodox, because a lot of the lyrics are perverted sex. They're not normal. And maybe you don't realize that, but I think the parents would like to know that some of those things are not normal sexual relations.
But that doesn't mean that you have to do them. You should know about them. Information doesn't kill you.
Children don't know the difference.
Children learn the difference by receiving information, which they can store and sort with your help as a parent. If you don't let them know about this stuff, they'll grow up and be ignorant.
I would rather have them be ignorant of something.
Anybody who chooses to have their children be ignorant is making a mistake, because then they can be victims. They have to know. They have to be shown an example. It's a parable, okay? You don't have to tell them to do it.
There is an improper way and there is a proper way to be taught about sex. It is not proper to listen to Motley Crue sing on an album, I'll either break her face or take down her legs, get my way at will, go for the throat, never let loose, going in for the kill. That is not the proper way for kids to learn about sex. Nor is Bitch's album, Be My Slave, where she sings, the whip is my toy, handcuffs are your joy, you hold me down, I'm screaming for more, when you tie me up and gag me. The way you give me pain, come on and drag me. That is not a proper way for children to be taught about sex.
Yes.
My question is, if you were to go about rating albums as you do movies, how would you do that in the correct way? Because I happen to think the way movies are rated is very sexist. And if you were to do records in the way, what would stop such sexism that they have with the movie rating system?
Well, I don't know about sexism in movie ratings, but I think that the ratings that the music industry is talking about would be to have a council, an independent council comprised of members of the music industry themselves, broadcasters and record distributors and executives of record companies, as well as members from the community, who would sit and listen to a great percentage of the albums that come out every year and would simply put a label on them, whether or not they were drug-oriented, sexually oriented, violent, or oriented towards the occult, so that there would be something on the outside of the album, whether or not the lyrics are printed there or the mark itself, that would give parents and the child something to go by so they would know what's inside.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I just don't think you could really just censor or
it's not
or
rate. It's just consumer information.
Like
Speak to the issue of a rating system.
Okay, let's see how untenable it is. Okay, right. Because first of all, you're singling out one certain type of music. The world of music is very wide, and there's a lot of different kinds of music, and there's something that somebody could find objectionable anywhere. If you just start rating records as of today, what do you do about every record recorded since the beginning